The Technical Park MoonDance debuted in 2005. This ride featured a large rotating disc where 24 riders were seated facing outwards. The disc is attached to a counterweighted rotating arm that itself is attached to a hydraulic that allows it to lift up to an 80-degree angle. The original MoonDance featured 24 seats with over-the-shoulder restraints. The seats were slightly inclined to reduce stress on the rider's shoulders and back. The ride was loosely based on the rare Fabry Contact, which debuted in 2003. The Contact did not rotate at nearly as high of an angle, and it featured seats mounted on their own individual hubs. The Contact also featured 32 seats. The Contact is now discontinued, but Technical Park continues to make the MoonDance and its later variations, though only one original MoonDance design has been sold. The original MoonDance needed 2 trailers to be transported. This meant it was limited to larger showmen who had the staff and vehicles required to transport and assemble such a ride. It was also known to have a longer assembly time than most rides due to its large size. Based on this, Technical Park introduced the heavy rotation in the late 2010s as an alternative to the MoonDance. This ride turned the outward-facing seats around, while reducing the overall diameter of the disc that rider seats were placed on. This also meant a reduction in the number of seats from 24 to 20. The heavy rotation was much easier to transport than the MoonDance and has far surpassed it in popularity. The heavy rotation has gone on to become the most popular ride model of this type, with the only originally manufactured MoonDance actually being converted into a heavy rotation. This ride, originally named Dreams Live, which toured in France, was converted into a heavy rotation around 2017. The ride was renamed to Reactor, and it now travels in the Netherlands. Interestingly, though the seat's direction was changed, the diameter of the main disc was not, meaning this is the only heavy rotation with 24 seats. The ride is known for its intense cycle. The heavy rotation rides are generally regarded as being a little bit more intense and more comfortable than the original MoonDance. The change of the seat position prevents riders from being pushed forwards into the restraints, instead pushing them back into their seats. This also allows the heavy rotation to rotate slightly faster than the MoonDance, increasing its intensity further. Recently, Technical Park unveiled a new concept for a variation of the ride, called the Heavy Rotation Stunt. This can be retrofitted onto existing heavy rotation rides or built from the ground up. The new version of the ride introduces free-spinning seats, adding to the intensity and making the ride somewhat kind of like a flipper ride. So far, none are known to have been built. All versions of the ride are known for their intensity. In most versions, operators also have full control of the ride cycle, giving them the ability to sync the ride to music and effects. The ride can also perform several different movements, such as lifting, spinning the rider disc, and spinning the main arm. This gives operators a lot of choices and can allow the ride to be used as a family ride or as a thrill ride, depending on what the owner desires. This also allows every ride cycle to be different. When the main arm rotates in the same direction as the rider disc, the ride can be made less intense. When they spin opposite of each other, the ride is more intense. A few examples of the heavy rotation are Mr. Gravity, which travels on the German fair circuit, and Magica at Linnanmäki in Finland. The only MoonDance that was ever created, as mentioned, was converted into a heavy rotation, but it still features more seats than the stock heavy rotation and is said to give a better ride by many who have ridden both. That's all the information we were able to gather on this ride model. As always, if we got something incorrect, feel free to correct us in the comments below. If you'd like to gain access to all episodes of Flat Ride Friday Season 1 without having to wait, consider becoming a channel member. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.